Strong and Sassy here on your superstation, Joy 99.7 FM. My name is Animwaa Anim Addo, and I'm so thankful that you can join us today for the show. So last week, so first of all, September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And last week we had a conversation about leukemia. We spoke to Elizabeth, who lost her son Jason, and then we also got into a project that is being set up to support parents and support the whole process, when it comes to leukemia. However, it is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, so we'll be, talking about other aspects of childhood cancer. And next week, we'll have a conversation on some of the other kinds of cancers that, children get into, how you can support families that are going through this thing, how you can give back and all of that. So we're talking about cancer this month, actually, and next month as well, because next month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But last week, so many of you texted and, you said that you were really moved by Elizabeth's story, but she didn't finish it. So you kind of knew the end, but, you didn't know what happened, how it got to that point, how she survived and how she's still here. So tonight we want to do that. We want to bring a certain sort of closure to the story. For you, of course, never for the family. I don't think you ever get over that. But for those of you listening who want to know, how it ended. And for those of you who've texted, ask how she's coping, how she's able to have these conversations a year after, and all of that. She's here with us tonight, so we'll have that conversation. Also, a big thank you to those of you who watched our Instagram story and commented and sent in, all your comments and stuff. We'll read them as well. And to those of you who texted and also expressed that you had also lost your children, we are so, so sorry. And our hearts go out to you tonight. And this show is for you. Tonight's show is for you. So welcoming back Elizabeth, who's currently one of my favorite people, Stubborn Academy. And truly, truly a very resilient and strong woman. Welcome back.
Thank you very much for having me again.
Thank you so much for coming tonight. So, last week, I know that you've spoken about this, quite a lot, right? But how do you feel usually when you finish an interview and you kind of have to go back, into your mind and remember details and look at pictures and then, we finish an interview, it's, oh, thank you so much, talk to you later, you get in your car, you drive. What does that feel like?
Well, to be fair, last week was my very first interview after the facts. So I think I had a very quiet drive back home. Usually when it happens like that, my mind really goes blank. I try not to think about anything. I just either call my siblings and we talk, or I just go quiet, listen to music, go home straight to bed.
Okay. So that's what you did?
That's what I did.
Quiet drive home. Straight to bed.
Straight to bed.
Are you able to sleep? Do you have like insomnia sometimes?
For sleeping, I don't think, I'm unable to sleep, but I try to rest. And the thing is, when it happened, I think for 3-4 months straight, sleeping was very, very difficult. And I remember at the time I wasn't around, so I would soak myself in work. I would work, 12 hours shift, come back, repeat. Sometimes I'll be awake, they'll call, are you available? Somebody to, I'll still put myself. So I wasn't really talking about it. I wasn't addressing it. I wasn't sleeping. I just went straight to work, and then that was it for me. Currently, I sleep better than I used to. At least I get in 6 hours, but it's usually after 12, 1. Then I have to wake up by 5:30, 5. But at least it's better than when it started.
Than it used to be. Yes. So you would say that slowly it's getting better.
Slowly. Excuse me.
It's okay.
Slowly.
Getting better.
Slowly.
Between, like, when you close from work and when you fall asleep, what do you do?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing. It's either I'm playing with my son or I'm talking to my sisters. I speak to my sisters a lot.
Okay.
Either on my way home, I'll call my sisters, we'll talk. I speak to my sisters every single day.
Okay.
So we'll talk, drive home, get home, speak to the kids, how was the day, and then I go into my bed
Okay.
just like that.
So you're not alone.
No, I'm not alone.
You're surrounded.
I'm always surrounded. I
Do you,
told you,
do
I
you
told you last week.
yeah, do you think it's intentional?
For the house, my siblings are not in the house, but I come from a family that is really, really close.
Okay.
So, physically, they may not be around me, but they're always on call with me. We're always chatting. We're always doing things together, but online. So, I may not see them physically, but I'm constantly on video calls with them.
Okay.
Yes, my kid keeps me entertained all the time. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So it's I think I was worried about empty spaces.
I have a lot of empty spaces,
You have
which I don't like for people to invade the
okay.
empty spaces. But I have horrible friends too, because anytime they realize that I shut down, I used to be very chitty chatty. I would pick the calls. We would do a long call. Now I see the calls coming in and I don't want to pick up. I usually get downtime. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't. So anytime my friends see that, they'll keep calling. They will keep calling until I pick up. And I have this group of friends that anytime they don't hear from me consistently, the next minute they are showing up.
Wow. They're just there.
They are just there. They refuse to go. But to be fair, I've known them for 18 years. So
Yeah, they've earned the right to terrorize
to
you
show
like
up
that.
whenever they want.
Whenever they want.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay. I think that cleared. Those were my personal questions, by the way.
I do have lonely times, very quiet times, because I'm not there. Go, let's go here. Once in a while, we'll step out, but usually once in a month, once in 2 months. But aside that, Fridays, I'm usually off work. Fridays, I don't go anywhere. When my son goes to school, I'm inside the house till night. Sometimes I don't even see my front door. That's how bad it is.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So we also didn't. We thought Jason was your only.
No.
Okay. So we didn't know that. So he has an older or a young?
A younger one. I have two amazing boys. One in heaven, I always say, and the little one here. And the little one was his bone marrow match. It was his donor.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah, he was the match for Jason. So we took his bone marrow sample. We tested it. It was a match, and then at the time he was one.
Wow.
I know. I know.
Which means that at some point in the journey, going back and forth and all of that, you were pregnant.
So when I started the journey 2021, I found out I was pregnant. I was long gone. I think somewhere March or April. That's when I found out I was pregnant.
Okay.
And I think one of the things one of the doctors said that you need to have another baby. Is this the only child? I said yes. You need to have another baby. I said okay. So we got busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and surprise, he was here. I didn't even know about him. I didn't even know he was coming. I just started feeling very nauseous, and I'm like, eh. I checked, and he was there.
He was there.
So December, coincidentally, December of 2021, the day I had him, 14 December, was the same day Jason received his last intensive chemo.
Okay.
So you do the intensive chemo for 1 year, and then they taper it, and then you start with once monthly. So that 14th was the last day Jason took doxorubicin. That's the last medication he took, 14 December
And
2021.
then you had.
And then I had his brother.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So they knew each other for a little bit.
Yes, they did.
For about 3 years, if I'm.
They did. But when it got chaotic, my son, the little one, had to live with my big sister. So he's my big sister's baby. He's my
Okay.
big sister's last born, because he sees my big sister, he would choose a run into her arms, mommy. Yes, for me, I am Araba, but she's mommy, because it was in her hands that he turned one. It was in her hands that I think he would have turned two in her hands too, but I had come back to Ghana and everything was, but I was going back to Singapore then, so again went back to my sister. So he's been with my sister.
He's been more with her.
Yes, I think I started living with him last year December, when my sister decided to trust me with my son.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember she used to say that she doesn't think I feel anything, and it is true. His dad, Richmond, used to say that anytime he has a conversation, we get visitors, he pass a comment and you pass it and he says, she's unfeeling now. He used to say that a lot. And I think a lot of my friends also came to tell me that I that spark. But to me, the spark is still there. I'm still very funny. I'm still very silly. I mean, but when I go to my personal space, it's usually very quiet.
Mm.
Very
I
quiet.
don't know. I think when something happens to us, people almost expect that we won't change. And I find it interesting, from what you're saying, is like, of course you would change. Of course you would be different.
Yeah.
It's a life-changing thing that some people never recover from even. So of course, you would be different. And I think we did a show on grief a few weeks ago, managing grief, and it was funny because we had another lady, Jahara, right? And she was talking about when her father died, and she hated people talking about him. Like, when you see me, don't ask me,
Yeah.
how are you coping, and say, oh, I knew your father, da da da.
Don't tell me any of the it gets better.
Like,
Don't tell
yeah.
me God knows. Don't tell me any of those.
Yeah, she was like, completely like that. And it was interesting for me because I was like, oh, when my father died, when people came up to me and said, oh, I knew your dad, he was da 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 da, I felt like it was comforting for me.
For me, I felt when people came at me and said, "Oh, I knew Jason," I don't find it irritating at all.
Okay.
Also because I decided to share Jason's life on social
And
media,
story,
so
yeah.
it's understandable when people come up to you, want to understand how you're doing. So I had to set my boundaries. I talk about things I want to talk about, so I would usually push the conversation towards where I wanted. But I'm a talkative, so sometimes it just runs on and on and on and on. It's like that. So I think on the anniversary of his 1 year, um, I wanted to do a fundraiser. And I think that was the first time people were asking, how did the whole thing? I said, okay, I'm going to do a story about Jason. So
Okay.
I went on Facebook Live and I did 3 parts. And I did a story of how it started, how it's, and so that's the first time I gave closure to people on Facebook.
Who wanted to
Yes, who
know?
wanted to know how the whole journey has been like. And yeah, so I usually try to move the conversation towards where I'm comfortable. That's exactly what I did last week because I tried not to talk about the part that would break me because I keep saying that I haven't cried as much as I would or as much as my siblings would want me to cry. Even when he died and I was looking at him in his coffin, I was laughing. I there wasn't anything. I don't know how to explain it, but
I understand you.
there was absolutely nothing. I looked at him and I smiled. That was it.
Yeah. I understand you because there's a certain part of grief that you can't access until you're ready to access. And I don't think that people pushing you or saying, you have to like, I'll access it when my soul and my spirit are ready to access it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean I don't feel, or I'm not this, or I'm not that. It's just, this is where I am.
Yeah, but people, for me personally, I think everyone that goes through grief or is going through grief, anytime they come off as that, they are usually hiding behind something. They're hiding something that they wouldn't want the world to see. So they will try as much as possible to be the version you knew you'd be comfortable with. But deep down, there is something dark, something sinister
I
going
was
on.
just going
So
to
it's
say that grief is dark.
very
It's a
dark.
dark hole.
It does a number on you, and it does a number on you.
Yeah.
It does a number on you. I mean, I have people looking at me and then they're like, "Hey, you're still bubbly. You're still bubbly. You won't address this thing." I am so bubbly because I choose to be bubbly. Because if I am not bubbly, I don't know how else I'm going to go on. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
choose
Yeah.
to be this way. Sometimes when I'm going through some of my pictures and then I just chance on it, I wouldn't be able to move past it or do any other thing. I'll be so absorbed inside. I would go through it, I would watch it, and then I'll begin to get the triggers. So a friend of mine, anytime she sees that I'm doing those things, she will try and bully me. I'm not going to talk to you. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. Then she'll try and then move me away from it. But it is what it is.
Yeah. It's It's difficult for people to sit with grief, other people to sit with your grief. Because, like you said, it's dark, it's a deep, dark hole.
Yeah.
And I mean, for the few times in my life that I have felt grief, which of course will never compare to what, and I know that it will never compare to what you have gone through because I've lost my father, so I know that kind of
It's
grief.
still pain.
But I'm also a mother, so I know what, you know what I mean. So I just want to say that I honor your process, and I respect that this is how you are choosing to grieve.
I haven't even processed it.
I,
To be
I,
fair.
I know, I know. I mean, I know, but I pray that when you are ready to process it, if you're ever ready, and that's your choice, you know what I mean? But I pray that if you are ever ready, you'll have the right people who won't be afraid of the darkness, who can walk you through it and bring you out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Back
Yeah.
into.
Coincidentally, this morning on my way to work, because of the construction on the Tema motorway, it's now like crazy traffic.
Okay.
So on my way to work, I called a doctor friend. She's basically my psychologist. And she says, Araba, I've told you, go and see a professional. And I'm like, no, you have to listen to me. And then she says, you need to talk about it. I said, If I talk about it, I have to talk about some things I don't even want to address to even myself.
Yourself, yeah.
She says, no, you need to speak to somebody. So yes, I have the people. All I have to do is, but Stubborn Academy, of course.
No, I mean, I think you'll be ready when you're ready.
I'll be ready when I'll be ready.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'll ever be ready.
And that's fine too. As long as your son is able to get the best from his mommy.
That's the tricky thing.
Yeah.
It will come at you like a storm.
Yeah.
If you refuse to address it. I didn't think a year after I would feel some type of way. But these days, the slightest thing, I get so triggered. I get so triggered. You won't even believe it. I'll be so triggered, and like I said, I see the photos and I go deep inside and I'm unable to come out. So I think because I haven't actually had that specialist talk, but I've had a lot of people that have walked the same journey. They've been there for me 24/7. I haven't had a time where I'd say I was alone with my thoughts, even though I'm still alone with my thoughts.
Yeah, of course, even in a room full of people.
Yes.
Yeah.
But at every point in time when it's been hard, there's always been someone. But the funny thing is, aside people being there for me, grief, of course, grief will treat you. I don't know how that thing grief.
Yeah.
That thing grief, you would find, especially for those of us who refuse to address our pain, would use something else to cover the pain.
But you know how powerful it is that you're able to actually say that those of us who refuse to address our pain, like you're completely aware.
I am
that
very much
I
aware.
am not, like there is pain and I am not addressing it. So
Yes.
leave me alone.
I am very much aware.
Yeah, I think that's like really powerful that
I am
you know
very
that.
much aware.
you
But
know. And,
my doctor tells me that makes you very, very dangerous. And I'm like, nah.
no, it kind of does.
What
it kind of
silly
does.
person like me?
It does.
I don't think so. It just makes me indifferent, and being indifferent is not a good place to be. You must make a decision, but even if it's a negative decision, make the decision, but don't leave things hanging. I'm unable to do it.
Okay.
I'd leave it hanging and I run, as my boss would say. You always run when things are getting at you. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather run than address it.
I think when you're ready to address it, you will, if you're ever ready.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is a space of grief that we're exploring. When you're in it, like, you know what I mean. It's
It's your second skin. It never leaves you.
It does. Yeah. So we wanted to talk about the last few days. If you're feeling okay, to do that. So I mean, last week we kind of left the story in Singapore, where of course there was all of that, miraculous,
Yeah.
James Bond moves, by the doctors to get, Jason his surgery and, all of that. And
Okay. So let me start from when we're told that it wasn't going to happen, and I called the doctor and I told her, and she says it's time. So the children hospital, they have social workers that if somebody's palliated, they would usually book tickets for you to go and explore, go on tours. So she came in and then she said, "What does Jason like to do most?" And I said, "He loves animals. So anything with a zoo, he would love it." And they said, "Okay." The next morning, we were off to the zoo, Singapore Zoo. So we went to the zoo. And one thing the hospital does, they would make sure you have a photographer to capture a lot of memories for you that day, free of charge. All the tickets, all the food, anything you do that day is sponsored by the hospital to say we wish we could have done better, but it is what it is. But to make your memories, your last memories, also good for you, better memories. So that's what you do for you. So we went and went to have fun at the zoo. We took a lot of pictures, and you've been told this, yet you still have to have fun with your child, and it's a very chaotic thing, battle that goes on in the mind, and it's
so how do you, like, you get the verdict, or whatever, and it's like, okay, we can't do anything, we can't help you, that, okay, I only have a few more days or weeks with my child, but I'm going out there. I have to put all those feelings aside. I have to look happy. I don't want him to see me cry, because he's going to ask, "Mommy, what's wrong? Mommy, are you okay?" How do you even do that?
I don't know how I did it.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. But I had to carry Jason to Singapore Zoo, not shed a tear, smile through it all, walk as though I wasn't going through anything, put my feelings aside, and then do it all.
I just...
And imagine, we were 8 hours ahead, so by the time you're ready to talk to somebody, it's
they're
like
asleep.
You are coming to sleep, they are now waking up.
Yeah,
So it was
the
never
time differences.
But I remember I called my big sister. I called her, and I think she had already heard that this is what had happened. And I said, "This is it." And she says, "Do you want me to come and get you?" I said, "Yeah." Sunday she was in Singapore.
Oh, wow.
So she came. I mean, she had walked that journey before, so she knew how to navigate the whole thing. So when she came, I remember when she walked in, she said, "Ah, you look rough."
So, yeah.
You look rough. I looked rough. She said, "Oh, you look rough." And then she gave me a hug, and then she went to sit by Jason, and then we started chit-chatting. And we started the tours again. So we started going around. We met a Nigerian friend from Africans in the diaspora in Singapore. And so she had traveled to the USA on vacation. So when she came back, she got to hear that there was somebody, and so she extended a helping hand. That, "Oh, I want to go see them." But unfortunately, when she came, we had been told that this is what is happening.
Yeah.
So she says, "I'm going to also book a ticket for you to tour Singapore on me."
Oh, wow.
So we went to do the tours, went to do the cable cart. We did a lot of... It was a fun-filled day. We did a lot of things. So when she came finally, I introduced both of them, and then it was just the three of us. So I think Singapore New Year, they did the drone show. All of us went to watch the drone show, and then we came back to the hospital. We're coming to get things going, then come and pack, and then we'll be gone. And I think that day we're supposed to be discharged. This was, I think, on the 12th of February. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, on the 12th of February. So we're supposed to park, and then 13th, 9th, or 14th something, we'll just fly back to Ghana, and then that is it. So we go to town, we come back, Jason gets into bed, we are waiting to be discharged, it's not happening. I'm trying to get him food, and he says, "Mommy, I'm hungry." I'm trying to get him the food, and finally I get the food going. I start giving him the food. This boy starts screaming, "Mommy, my brain. Mommy, my brain." He starts screaming on top of his head. He's holding on to the head, and he's screaming, "My head, mommy, my brain, mommy, my brain." So the nurses walked in and they said, something else is going on with Jason, because anytime he's in pain, this is not how he reacts. So Jason, when he's in pain, he goes, but this time, this was C5 notes. My brain. He was screaming. So that night, I think they gave him an opioid. That was when he was able to calm down, and then went to do an MRI. They checked there was nothing going on in their brain. So we came back to sleep. And then my sister left. In the morning, Jason, like I said, was always very clingy. So in the bed, even when he did bone marrow transplant, that the slightest infection could kill him, he still wanted me by him. So I was being made to bath with antibacterial solutions that made me very sterile, that I could be with him, but I had to put on the mask and everything. So in Singapore, same story. I was sleeping next to him because he likes to sleep here and then out. And then
cuddle him.
I could feel his fingers twitching. This was around 8 a.m. His fingers were twitching. So my sister was walking in, and then his twitches. So I called the nurses. I'm like, he's seizing. And funnily, anytime those things happen, I don't like,
you don't panic.
Like, no, quietly, this is happening. And then, so I think the nurses walked in immediately. They saw that he was seizing. They started doing everything they were doing. Everything is going on. Before we could say, Jack, this boy is gone. What is going on?
Wow.
And then the palliative doctor comes in and she says, looking at the way things are going, they don't think he's going to wake up. So he's going to go like that and he's going to flatline. But they don't also want to force flatline. So they're just going to wait for him to
naturally.
And then, just like that, we're having a conversation on going back home. And within seconds, the whole thing turns around and he's going. And then they asked me, you need to call home and then get them to say their goodbyes to Jason, because it doesn't look like you guys will be flying to Ghana with him. You would be going with a box. I said, what is this? I started calling. Obviously, the time difference. 8 a.m. in Singapore is like...
midnight.
So I started calling. I started calling random people. If I call you, I tell you that, say goodbye to your boy. They said he's not coming back. So we're sitting down. We're just waiting for him to flatline, and then the morgue will come and carry him. The morticians will come and carry him to the morgue, prepare him, and then, And then I remember my sister used to, she would say that, how did we get here? Wow. So that day, I think on the 13th of February, he wasn't waking up. They had given him any medication. Obviously, they had told us that he was going to flatline. So the other lady comes, the Nigerian lady comes in, and then we tell her that we want to, and she says, come on, we need to get out of this mood. Let's go out. So we go out, two of us. We didn't know anywhere. We got lost multiple times, but we still kept going. Went to roam the streets of Singapore, just trying to make me stop thinking about anything that... And also, maybe you were hoping that by the time we come back, that happened also, because she didn't want me to. So she was hoping that we'll go and then it will happen, and then by the time we come back, it's... But we were back to the apartment, packing our things, and then the Nigerian lady calls. I think around that time when it happened, the night of the 12th, we were looking for a priest to give him the final rites, so that if he goes... We searched the whole of Singapore. We couldn't find a Catholic priest.
Wow.
And then, I don't know who told the Pentecost church that we were there. So they came to pray for him. And then they said, but I was born a Catholic. So we started looking for an Orthodox. Fortunately, the Nigerian lady called somebody, and then she says, oh, just down the street from the hospital, there is an Anglican church there. Let's see if we can get the priest. And unfortunately, he was just about to step out. We told him. He rushed to the hospital. Then he came to say a prayer. He looked at me and said, oh, this boy will not go anywhere. We'll come back. I said, okay. And then we left. So 13th, everything is okay. We've given the final rites. We are expecting that he will flatline. And then we are in the house packing our belongings to go. Excuse me. We are in the house packing our belongings to go. And we get a call and she says, Elizabeth, come back to the hospital. Jason is awake. I like it. Says, come back to the hospital, he's awake. I said, okay. And then we rushed. As to how we got to the hospital, only God knows. We rushed to the hospital, we got there, I entered the door. And like I said, there was this thing I used to do with Gigi. I call him Gigi. Gigi, then you say, if I'm in the hospital with him and I'm sleeping in the other bed and he's in his bed. Gigi,
just to make sure he's alive, yeah.
Gigi, that was our national anthem, Gigi, So I entered the door, and it's also a double door. You enter the first one, it closes before you have to press another button before the second one. So the second one opened, and I said, Gigi. Then he turned around like this, Mommy. And then he turned around again. I said, God.
Are you kidding me?
After 2 terrible days.
That's too much.
We go, we
That's
sit by him.
That's way too much. That's way too much.
We go, we sit by him, and we're all like, but then obviously we had seen it happen in India, so it was like it's normal looking at what he's done to us. I looked at him, he says, Mommy, I'm hungry. I said, okay. I think I made Milo for him. He drank it. And then we were just sitting around, we're packing. The doctors come in, they check him. They can't see anything. The next morning, they call my sister, they call myself to the counseling room. Then they tell us that the funny thing the doctor said was, even Jesus died and I woke up after 3 days. Only Jason died 2 days later. He woke
He
up.
woke up again.
So it was a joke that they passed, which was like to lighten the moment. And then she said, you know what? The way this boy has shown us pepper here in Singapore, we want you to take him immediately. We don't even want you to. So they brought a whole box of medication. This medication is for this. If he dies on the flight, this is what you have to do. Yes, they had about 98% that he would die on the flight back home.
Wow.
Because of the altitude and then what it does to the ears and the ringing, they thought he was going to pass before we get home. So I think they gave us the medication, do this if it happens like this. And she's gone through it. I'm now coming to go. So both of us were like expert at handling issues like that. So we got to the flight. We told the flight attendant that we want a seat that is. And I remember the night that thing was happening, the desk at Ghana, Ethiopian Airlines, the guy did so well. We would call him, we are coming, then we'll call again, we'll cancel, we canceled like 10 times.
Wow.
At no fee. So he called and he said, I'm taking the ticket out of the system. When you are sure that you are coming, just let me know. I'll make sure I get you a ticket back to Ghana. I said, okay. So 16th, when he woke up, they told us what to do and everything. 16th, we called him, please, we are ready to come now. We packed from the hospital straight to the house, went home to go and pack. We didn't even break, straight to the airport. We went to the flight, hoping that things will happen. We're just like, God, please. And then the most bizarre thing the hospital told us, the doctor said, if it happens on the flight, treat him like nothing has happened. Treat him like he's still alive and he's sleeping. I said, okay. So we got to the flight, we're like, God. This boy sleeps and he wakes up and he says, I want bread. Then he starts eating bread. I want cake. I want this. Mind you, he was not eating us. He starts asking for everything on the plane.
Wow.
And he starts eating just like that. That was how we crossed from Singapore to Ethiopia. Nothing happened. We got to Ethiopia. He says he wants cupcake.
Okay.
We went to get him the chocolate cupcake. He ate it. We gave him his medication. We waited for our plane. And then we got to our boarding gates in Ethiopia. We boarded. Got to Ghana. Nothing happened.
Wow.
That was how we landed in Ghana. Waited for our bags to come. Then we went home. Absolutely nothing happened on the flight. It was the smoothest journey.
Yeah.
Not even as much as a cough. There wasn't anything like that. We didn't even have to give anything. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
It was so smooth. All he kept asking was food. I want food. And we kept giving. But the palliative team actually counseled me that there were things he would get a surge of energy at a point in time. But my mind was still not registering. So when we got to Ghana, my doctors here in Ghana came to see him at home. And they asked us what's going to happen, where do we want it to happen. They need to ask all those because it's obviously it's death. It's serious business when it happens, so that you are not investigated, that you have a hand in it. So
at this point, nobody was hopeful. It was like inevitable.
At this point, the cancer had completely taken over.
Okay.
Completely. There wasn't any more we could have done because they stopped the treatment in Singapore. And I had seen the blood work. I mean, when you work the journey for 3.5, 4 years, when you see the blood work, you know exactly what it means. I had seen the results. I had seen all of them, and I knew that and that the cancer cells were, I think, 98%. It wasn't coming back down, and at 100%, you are dead. You see, so we knew that this was it. So we're just waiting for it to happen. So we had that talk. After having that talk, I told her I didn't want to come to Korle Bu for it to happen in Korle Bu because it would crush me. So we chose a different hospital. So they made the arrangements with UGMC for the time if we should go there. And then, so I think we were given maximum 1 month. We got here 17th or 18th February. He was here till the end of the month. He was here the whole of March, and then on the 1st of April. So I remember the doctors, even though they had told us it's just 1 month roughly, and she says kids are so resilient. They would hold on for no reason. You would never understand why they're holding on. So we got to Ghana. We started. 2 weeks, he had a surge of energy. He would walk around the estate. He would so energetic. He would eat everything. He wanted cake, cold cake. Don't warm it, cold like that. Cake and bread. That's all he started eating. And Milo, he would eat. Then 2 weeks later, he stopped eating. And then he stopped walking. Then he started complaining, "Mommy, my legs." He will crawl, but when he puts the knee down, it begins to hurt so badly. And then he started complaining, "Mommy, my leg, my leg." So that was when he stopped walking. Middle of March. Then he would start screaming, "Mommy, my legs, broken bones, my leg broken." The pain, I'm told, is so intense. According to the doctor, it feels like somebody's intentionally breaking your bones. And this boy was describing it. "Mommy, my bones, ow, broken bones." He kept at it. Endless. So where he was drinking morphine like it was just endless. So I remember on the 28th or 20 something of March, I called my doctor. Before I called my doctor, I called my sisters and I said, "Stacey Ashelobo." That's all I said. I said, "Stacey Ashelobo." Because the things I was seeing, he had become pale. He was like a shadow of himself. You could see death on this boy's face. And I called my sister. I said, "Stacey Ashelobo." My sister said, don't say that. And I just dropped the call. And I was there with this boy. Would give him medication through his pot. And he would throw up. And you know, Jason is usually very quiet. But when he says something, that's exactly what he wants. And the last day, 28th, when he vomited, he said, "Mommy, not feeling well. Take me to the doctor." I said, "God." So we carried him to... I called my doctor then. And I said, "This is it. The way he's feeling." And she says, "You need to go to the hospital. If you let this thing happen in the house, you would never be able to stay in the house. You need to go to the hospital." I said, She says, "I'm calling the hospital. Go now." This was around 8 p.m. So we carry him like an egg. Kakran. Drive like... Took him to UGMC. We got to UGMC. We're given a ward. We went to the room. And like I said, that was his life. We got there, he saw the bed, we put him in the bed. He says, "Mommy, change clothes." Because that is his life. Hospital is the life for him. I'm not sure he even knew there was any life outside the hospital. So he got into the bed, and because the knee, the legs were paining, it was very painful for him. So would lift it and then would put a pillow beneath it so that he would, and we'll prop him with pillows, more pillows, or adjust the bed so that he's like sitting and sleeping at the same time. Then I gave him his tablet. And then he was watching it. And the sad part was that 2 weeks that he was in pain, I wasn't able to bath him. To change his diaper, even at that time.
It's a lot of pain.
A lot of pain. A lot of pain. So when we went to the hospital, the pain was now intense, really intense. We would give him medication. So I think on the 31st of March, if March has 31 days, on the 31st of March, I think the last day in March, it was a Sunday. And I called the doctor and I said, "The way he's in pain, I think." So we roamed the whole of Accra looking for a stronger opioid. And finally we got it and then we gave it to him. That night was the night I was able to change his diaper without hearing anything from this boy. It was so smooth. And I said, "Okay, let me clean him a little bit." And then I cleaned him and then he slept. So 1st April, as usual, we wake up in the same hospital. I clean him and then we clean our surroundings. I take a shower. And then I was sitting by him. My best friend and her siblings come there. They came with a priest. We came to pray for him and then we baptized him again and then they left. So around 11, I realized he was restless. He was saying, mommy. And then the doctors came for ward round. So when they came, I'm like, "Why is he restless? Is he close?" And the doctor said, "Okay." So the way he was tossing and turning, says, "Mommy, help me, mommy." He kept at it. It was like... So I went to the nurse's station. I said, "Can you give him oxygen? I don't like the way he's..." So the nurse said, "Okay." Then she came. Then she put the oxygen on him. And then this boy was still at it. I said, "Okay." whatever is happening. So I tried carrying him. I carried him and I put him in my laps. I said, Mommy, down bed, put me down, down. Then I said, put him down. He says, don't want you carry, put him down. And I put him. I said, DJ, I've missed you. I haven't carried you in 2 weeks. Just let me. And then so the nurse left and then he settled down. And then I covered him with this blanket up to his, and air conditioning was on too. And he said, Mommy, help me, Mommy. Help me, Mommy. Help me, Mommy. And then I said, okay, this boy is asleep. Let me quickly go and lie down a bit. And anytime Jason and I are in the hospital, I never sleep. That day, I think when he did, and then he did his head like this, he was gone, but my mind didn't even register. To me, my child was there. He's sleeping. So I went to sit in the other chair, the other bed, and within 30 minutes, So I woke up and I said, JJ, I didn't hear anything. JJ, I didn't hear anything. And I jumped from the bed. I walked to his bed. I opened his eyes, and it was black. There was absolutely no light coming. And then the mouth was like, I did so, it didn't open. I looked at him, I put my hand here, I didn't feel anything. And then I put my hand on the heart, I didn't feel anything. And the last thing I did, I lifted the cloth, and the stomach was not rising, it wasn't falling. All I said was, JJ, kusate, abre. And I just turned around. I opened the door into the corridor. The doctors were at the station. And I just flagged them down. I said, and I went back to the room. I pulled the chair, sat by him. I was waiting for them to call it. And then the doctor came. They were all standing there. They were just looking at me and I wasn't even reacting. They stood there. They told the other doctor to check and then call it. And then they checked and they said, time of death. I just looked at them. The time of death they quoted, I knew it wasn't that time. I was like, okay. It was around 1:20. I said, okay. Okay. Then I took his hand, straightened his legs. Laid the bed flat. The chemo pots, I just disconnected it, put off the machine. I covered him up to here. And I picked my phone and I called somebody in the church. That Jason is gone. And he says, don't say that. I said, oh, he's gone. His body is just warm, but he's gone. That was how casually. Then I started calling the people that were, Jason was very dear to them. And then I called Auntie Mimi and she says, oh, JJ, where are you? I said, I'm in the hospital. I'm coming. 15 minutes later, she was there. I called Mansanete. Auntie Mansa says, where are you? I said, I'm here. She says, I'm coming. Within 30 minutes, she was there. She gets there and she says, hey, Jason, Mimi and I have not seen ourselves in years. Because of you, today we've met. Wow. So I sat by my son and I said, I've not bathed him in almost 2 weeks. I don't want anybody to see him that he's dirty. So I picked gauze and I poured the normal saline in it and I started cleaning him. Then Aunt Mimi also comes to the other side and says, what are you doing? I said, I'm cleaning him because I don't want him dirty. So both of them, both myself and Aunt Mimi, we start cleaning him. We wiped him, made sure he was clean because Jesse didn't like that. Wiped him down. And then we left him there. And then I went to stand by where Aunt Mimi was. And then I sat on the floor waiting for everybody else to come. And that was how I sat down. And sat down and sat down and sat down. And that was it.
We're going to take a break, and we're going to take a break. Welcome back. We're just finishing our leukemia story, and Elizabeth shared the full story with us. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. So we've been talking about leukemia. Next week we're going to talk about childhood cancers. I don't know if Elizabeth will be back. I'm trying to pull her in because of the work that she does with her organization and raising awareness of childhood cancer, because apart from leukemia, of course, there are other cancers that children are struggling with. But to close out today's show, we want to finish up with LPF. And Gerard, you're becoming like a record holder for being this male voice on Strong and Sassy. Like it's not a thing. We don't do many, but you're here the second time.
Well, so far you have no record of any man listening and phoning into Strong and Sassy. So
So yeah, Jared is joining us again for LPF. So Jared, we only have a few minutes, but we really want to just talk about how people can support.
So
People can get involved.
Yeah. So quickly before that, I'd like to thank you very much, because last week there were loads and loads of people. My own former colleagues that I used to work with in other businesses hit me and said, we need to talk about how we can help you. So thank you so much. Thank Joy FM so much. Thank Strong and Sassy so much. But then, just to put this into context, that is what will make sense. It's not like you found Elizabeth or Jason and they're prepared to talk about their story. And so the context is that there's several hundreds of people that are going through this life that Elizabeth and Jason went through. Several. Just that a few of them are privileged to know people like Mansa and other people, or belong to certain organizations, that their stories come out. But this is what we want to stop. You see, the hopelessness, that thing. Today we spoke to several survivors. They appreciated what Elizabeth bringing their story out, but they didn't want to talk about it because there's remission and out of remission, and it's like psychological. They don't even want to think about coming out of remission for them to suffer the thing that Jason was suffering, up and down, up and down. So it's a sad story, but just put it in context. We're just not promoting the name Jason and Elizabeth. We're promoting that aspect of leukemia where you suffer the up and downs of hopelessness and there's nothing supporting you. So please, I know Strong and Sassy, Super Morning Show will put out details up there on how to support us. But more than supporting us, understand that there is the need for you to understand this and why you have to bring in that support and bring in other support.
Yeah.
So just to place Jason's story in context is very important.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. So yes, we will put out the details of how you can get involved, and sponsor the whole project. It's a whole project, so that parents can come in with their children, have all their labs done, treatments in one place. If you remember, Elizabeth talked about the fact that there was no space on the wards and all of that. So just have a space where parents can be parents and be there for their children. I know there's also a project that be going on at Kolibun, for pediatrics as well, to put in more beds and more space. We'll talk about that next week. But we're going to put out the information. It'll be on my personal page as well. Animwaa Anim Addo, Facebook, Instagram. I'll put out all the information. Please give support. Let's make a difference. It means a lot. So thank you so much again, Elizabeth. I feel like I'll see you next week, Bob. Thank you so much, Gerard. Thank you so much to everyone who's given, everyone who's reached out, everyone who's supported. We really, really appreciate you. My name is Animwaa Anim Addo. Thank you to the news team for giving us 1 minute. Handing over to the 8 o'clock. Thank you so much and good night.